terminology. Right? Hello, everyone, and welcome to January 26th regular Town Council meeting of the Town of Vegreville. I call this meeting to order at 7:01. I'll be looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Next, I'll need a motion to adopt the minutes of our last regular meeting. Councillor Jagalik makes the motion. Everybody went through the minutes. Is there any errors? No errors? Okay. All in favor? Carried. So we have no delegations today, no correspondence. We're going to start with Director Saskew and a monthly cash statement, which is kind of early. No, this is December's.
This is December's, yes. Thank you. So I have here the monthly cash statement for December 31st, 2025. We started the month with $7,142,497, and we ended the month with $6,189,107. So that is a net decrease of cash and investments, $953,390. So major sources of cash for the month were $444 to 66 property tax collected. So approximately $450,000 of property tax collected. And I do want to make a quick note. Last month I had referred to a $52,000 payment from the County of Minburn. That was the library grant, not for recreation. So the recreation paid in for, what they paid in recreation last year was $331,323. So the $51,000 that I quoted last month for November was the library grant. We also had major uses of cash in December. We have $545,000 of Alberta School Foundation quarterly requisitions, $389,724 for RCMP quarterly payments, $205,083 in debenture payments, and then we had $71,000 for various expenditures for our the projects around town for the safety system, so like the security upgrades and whatnot. Those were part of facilities, $50,000 plus some of the other ones in there. And that is all I have for major transactions out of the norm in December.
Okay, I'll take a motion to receive the cash statement as presented. Councillor Brajak makes the motion. Any questions? My question would be, these are all expenditures of 2025.
That is correct, yes.
So the county waits till the very last month to make their payments?
Yes, and that's been pretty standard because the county's tax payment deadline is October. So we often pay our requisitions and other payments after our tax deadline.
So the facility upgrades was out of 2025's
Correct.
budget?
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next up, we have the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board bylaw.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. As you referenced, the topic for this request for council decision is in regards to the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board bylaw. The proposal is to amend said bylaw 032025, specifically section 4.3A, referring to the appointment of members at large board members from 7 to up to 9 members. It's being proposed by the Community Engagement and Economic Development Department. The background on this matter is that the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board, or VTAB, has recently reviewed bylaw 032025. This bylaw was established by Town Council in accordance with Section 145 of the Municipal Government Act to define the structure, roles, and responsibilities of VTAB. VTAB has now reached its full complement as outlined in the bylaw. Since that time, an additional community member has expressed interest in being appointed to the board. At its most recent meeting, VTAB considered this matter and agreed that it did not wish to discourage community interest nor participation, and as a result, the board resolved to pursue an amendment to the bylaw to allow for the potential appointment of additional members. During council's discussion of the proposed amendment at the Tuesday, January 20th Legislative Committee meeting, a concern was raised that having 10 members could result in a tied vote. It was suggested that the bylaw instead be amended to allow for a maximum of 9 members. Following this discussion, feedback was gathered from VTAB members, with the majority indicating support for proceeding with an amendment to 9 members. Should this request for council decision go ahead, there are no financial implications, and the community strategy would be public engagement process level 1. Tourism coordinator Michelle Gladys would inform the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board when the new bylaw is approved, and an updated copy of the VTAB bylaw will also be available on the Town of Vegreville website. The recommendation in front of you this evening is to 1, approve the proposed amendment to allow for 9 members at large on the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board. 2, give first, second, and third readings to Bylaw 022026, Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board bylaw, at the January 26th regular council meeting tonight. And then finally, 3, repeal Bylaw 032025.
Okay, thank you. Take a motion for the first reading on the bylaw. Councilor Rawawa makes the motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Take a motion for the second reading. Councilor Curtis makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. I'll need a motion for unanimous consent. Councilor Jagolic makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. And I'll take a motion for the third and final reading. Councilor Broadjack makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Good work. And I'm glad that the board all agreed with the 9 members. I just think that down the road it would just make things a little easier. Okay, so next up, bylaw 032026, 2026 fees and charges amendment bylaw.
Thank you, Your Worship. So before you is bylaw number 03/2026, which will be known as the 2026 Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw. So whereas Council of the Town of Vegreville deems it necessary and expedient to amend the Town of Vegreville Bylaw number 12/2025, Schedule V. Therefore, be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Vegreville in the Province of Alberta duly assembles and acts as follows. The short title is, this bylaw may be cited as the 2026 Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw. The provisions are 2.1. The fees and charges contained in the attached Schedule V are hereby established and are subject to the applicable taxes where appropriate. And 2.2, the rates, fees, and charges for municipal services provided to the town shall be outlined in the following schedules attached and forming part of this bylaw. So it's Schedule V, utilities, fees, and charges. And the effective date, of course, will be today's date if it is passed. And what is different with the 2026 Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw to Schedule V is we have learned that the John S. Patuque Water Commission is discounting, has changed the price of their water and discounted it 13 cents. So this 13-cent reduction is now being passed on to the users here in the town of Vegreville. So the price of water for per cubic meter has been reduced 13 cents for both metered water and the bulk water.
Okay. So before we have discussion, I'll need a motion for the first reading of this new bylaw. Councilor Rudick makes the motion. Comments? Could we go through the residential multiple dwelling portion here and explain to the public why we're doing this and how it's being applied?
All right, thank you. Okay, so the the residential multiple dwelling are fixed fees per additional dwelling unit on 1 meter per month. So basically, units like apartment units, duplexes, fourplexes, any of the older buildings in town would have had 1 water meter. So when they would receive a utility bill for all the water usage, they would have only been billed for the fixed charges on that 1 meter. So all the sewer fees, everything else would have just been as if it would be the same price for an apartment as it was for a single residential house.
So the whole apartment building.
The whole
with
apartment
all those families living in it, were paying the same as one single-family resident.
That is correct. So by changing up and doing a residential multiple dwelling, we are now charging a higher price, depending on how many doors are included on that meter. And this will give it's more of a fair price to the rest of the ratepayers, that they're not covering all the cost on the infrastructure and the sewer lines and everything like that. The buildings with multiple doors will now have a higher rate that they have to pay for that.
So 2 to 4 units will be paying $51.95 per door.
Per door, or just in total?
It's based on the additional units, so it's like the hotel motel, or which one are we specifically?
Let's just start with the first, 2 to 4 units. So a fourplex.
Yeah.
An older fourplex with 1 meter.
So then it would be an additional $51.95 for the additional 3 doors. So right now they're getting billed for one unit, or one of 4 units on the 1 meter. So then they would get an additional 3 units at $51.95 each.
Okay, so every family that's living in that fourplex, that's using the water, the sewer, the garbage, and paying the debentures that are covered in these charges are being picked up by every unit in that facility.
Correct. So evenly based on each unit.
Okay?
And same thing if there's 5 or more units. So if it's not a hotel or motel, but it's a multifamily residential, so maybe there's 6 units, and like maybe it's an 8-plex, then they would be charged $51.95 for additional 7 units, because they're already getting billed for 1. We have to pick up the remaining 7. And then hotel motel is $1 per door, and that has to do with vacancies, right? So a hotel motel isn't always 100% full. So if they have 80 units in their hotel motel, they'll get their fixed fees. And sometimes they have 2 meters in there, sometimes they have 1. And then plus they would get an additional $80 for each door that's in that.
Seniors facilities, there is no charge.
Yeah,
And at the mobile home park,
yes.
they have one single water meter that feeds that whole development, and they've been paying,
$51 a month.
but they have been paying nothing per individual mobile home.
That is correct.
So, and they are using the exactly same infrastructure as everybody else. They are having the flood mitigation, not flooding, all the things that everybody else has in this community, but they have not been paying anything. Okay. So a 30-unit apartment building is gonna get 30 bills of $51.95.
29 extra, yes, because if we're assuming they already have one meter already, so they're already paying for 1 fixed fee, so we'll do additional units.
And how have we communicated these new charges to these facilities?
We are still in, let's say, the exploratory phase, so we've been working with IP&D and compiling a spreadsheet of all of these different areas that will have multiple units. Once we have that in detail, we will pen letters to each individual unit or fourplex, et cetera, hotel, motel affected. And then from that point, we will be giving them, we spoke with council, giving them some grace period. So like giving them 60 days notice or 90 days notice, saying these fees will take effect at this period of time. And then once we have that, they'll take effect after the notice period. So that gives them an opportunity to explain maybe discrepancies, et cetera, because like we have what we have on record. There could be a discrepancy, likely not, but it does give them a notice period to come back to us and make sure that things are as we are putting in the letter.
How are we gonna deal with a vacancy in an apartment building?
I don't know.
How are we going to determine if a landlord has 5 trailers at the mobile park and only 4 of them are occupied?
Well, currently in our other residential, we do not make concessions for vacancy. So if you own a rental property that happens to be vacant, you still get the fixed charges.
Utility bill.
Yes, so if we want to remain consistent with the remainder of the town, they would be charged per household that has a unit on it. So if you have a vacant unit, you would still be charged. With the mobile home park, there could be some discussion if there is no trailer on that lot. But otherwise, if there's a trailer on that lot, then they would get the fixed fee, or if there's a unit in a apartment building that is empty, they would still get the fixed fee, similar to other households.
Okay, what other questions do you think you're going to be receiving? Councilor Broadzak.
So I'm just going to ask this for the general public regarding the fixed fees. Can you differentiate the residential fixed fee of $51.95, what that would consist of compared to the non-residential of $32.40? So just, you know, to let the public know what the fixed fees are.
Why the difference between the non-residential multiple dwelling and the residential multiple dwelling? One of the biggest things is our non-residential ratepayers pay their own garbage. They, our commercial businesses own their bins, and so that's a cost that's not on their utility bill. Whereas for residential, you're paid, it would be in the solid waste section of the fees and charges bylaw. You're charged, I think it's $9 and change per month for the ability of a bin in the backyard and pickup. So that's one of the differences that is in the non-res.
Okay, Councilor Rudick.
So I understand what your worship is referencing in terms of sharing the cost. I might point out the challenge that we are going to have catching up potentially with a sector of the community that maybe is ill-equipped to assume an additional cost of $623 a year. So I'm assuming that we've talked about like graduating the implementation or having a grace period, but let's imagine that the owner of the trailer park, for example, adds a service charge for every person that lives in the trailer park. So I understand why we would want to make sure that everybody's paying their fair share. The challenge that I see is that potentially we've got the folks that are least capable or have the most shallow pockets, let's say, being asked to come up with money, and potentially maybe there's a service charge on top of that. I'm not certain how that's going to be implemented, but just a little bit concerned about what that looks like. That's the one thing. Have we figured out the costing, what this looks like for the average increase per resident? I mean, we can figure that out, but I think that's going to be a question that people are going to ask, like what's the implication, cost implication? And then the other question I have is senior living facility. Like we've got very few senior facilities in town that are actually nonprofit or owned by the province. Most of them are for profit. Why are we charging them less? Not that I'm interested in necessarily figuring out how we're going to do that. I would leave that to your capable hands to figure that out. But if we've got private for-profit seniors providers in the community that are contracted out to provide residential suites for seniors in the community, they are large consumers of water too. Is it just difficult to be able to capture that? That would be my second question.
Excuse me. For your first question regarding how we're rolling this out and for the potentially lower income households that are now going to be faced with this, once again, it is a cost to the town, and as council discussed in depth, they don't feel it's fair to the rest of the ratepayers to bear the cost. Everybody should be paying their fair share. And everything is going up. So unfortunately, it is a stance that council had to make in order to create a balanced budget for 2026 and going forward. As for the senior living facility, that was, it is in here. The senior living facilities are in here at no charge at the direction of council. That was a discussion that was had, that they felt that at this time, they were okay leaving the seniors facilities out of this new initiative.
Go ahead.
Sorry, as a follow-up question then through the chair, through your worship, I think probably I'm anticipating that we might have some pushback, that people are not going to be thrilled about this, which I understand. And I also understand the other part, that there were some difficult decisions made during this budget process. I know that we've identified senior living facility as a homogeneous group. They are not, and I would be very curious. I don't have the definition right here in front of me, but I think it'll be important for us to make sure that we're differentiating them from one another. So even, for example, I would not use what we utilize when we go out and bring Christmas greetings to the community, to seniors living facilities. Altogether, they are not homogeneous, and so I think it's very important for us to keep that in mind. The only one that's a not-for-profit is the Homestead Lodge. So there's other seniors apartments. Those would be considered seniors living facility, I'm assuming. Those are through Veg Senior Housing. I don't know what is differentiated here, so I think maybe we need to just keep that as consideration moving forward.
So you're changing your stand from where we brought this forward? You want more work done on this, is what you're saying?
No, I think even just looking at it here starkly, I mean, I understand the idea of trying to encourage sharing the burden of maintaining infrastructure. Infrastructure is our core business, and of course we need to find a better way to capture that. And we've inherited some decisions that maybe aren't appropriate anymore. So we need to address those, and some of those decisions might have been determined a long time ago without realizing the cost implications. I guess I'm just looking at what that looks like. For example, if we're going to look at Heritage House, which is owned by a corporation, that we're charging them nothing, but we're going to charge somebody that's low income $623 a year as compared to $51.95 or no charge. I don't know that those are the same thing. I don't know that we necessarily need to throw everything back, but I do think that that's certainly worthy of some more discussion or consideration. That, again, I know Heritage House isn't the only one in the community. I use that as an example, but certainly there is a volume of water that's being utilized there that's metered in a way that would be different than the trailer park or any of the fourplexes in town. So my answer is maybe we need some more work on that one, or just consider some different classes within there, because it's, at this time, it's a homogeneous group, but it isn't.
Okay, I guess we have this in front of us. You don't feel comfortable voting on it right now. My question would be the $51 for every other living unit in town that has paid nothing, absolutely nothing, to any of our infrastructure projects. Don't, in the replacement costs, the debentures, we're charging $51.95. What does all the other bills add up to on my utility bill?
It's equivalent. So the $51.95 is equivalent to the fixed fees on an equivalent utility bill.
But, and again, their owner is paying the 1 meter, the cubic meter charge, and whatever the water charge related to the sewer.
Correct.
So nobody on the residential is being treated any different than any other homeowner in this community.
Correct. Or different than a fourplex that would be newer that has 4 utility.
That's right. We should update that. Any fourplexes built after what year, Dale? Director Lefebvre, did we ask them to have these meters? In the 90s? So everything built after the 90s already falls under this. They have separate meters. They get their own separate utility bill like the rest of us people in town have. So this is very fair. As a matter of fact, it's been an unfair practice to every taxpayer in town, especially when we look at the debenture payments and we put them on the utility bill. We look at all the tax rolls in town, and in actual fact, we're not sharing it very well. Okay. So is any more questions about the residential or the non-residential rates in here? Does anybody else have any questions regarding seniors and where any seniors living complex? What we had talked about was to forego their charges. Does anybody want to discuss that more? Okay, so Councilor Riddick, I can't get any support for that, so.
That's fine, but I would assume that we're going to, this is something that I'd like to see coming back later, because again, that particular category it encompasses a wide range. No different than, to your point, talking about the fairness and equitable charge of utility usage throughout the community for every residence and non-residents. It would be inequitable to assume that every facility is a homogeneous one for one, and they're not. So I just would be very curious moving forward that would be flagged as something that we need to take a look at.
So then, I guess the request of admin would be if we could take a look at how other communities treat seniors' facilities. Do they differentiate between for-profit and non-profit seniors? And maybe we'll look at having this discussion again. Is everybody okay with that?
For next year.
Before next year's budget. Okay, there's one other charge, the water service work order fee. Director Lefebvre, if you can tell us what this is about, or do you want to take it, CAO Ling?
Oh, I can take this, thank you. Okay, the water service work order fee, usually that price has increased. It was $25, and it was charged when you started your, when you opened your account. We have found that our utilities department is doing a lot of shut off at the CC for different reasons. They're doing a bunch of other work that is kind of, it's within their scope, but is customer driven, I guess is the best way to say it, that like a resident will call in and they would like something done by the utilities department and everything, and in the past there's been no charge for that. So now we are going forward with, when we were doing our investigations into other flat rates that communities charge and everything like that, most communities charge a actually quite higher fee than what we are charging at $40.25. And so we felt this was a way to recoup some of the expense that is tied up with going and having to do this work for specific residents or commercial property owners.
Okay. So right now, if somebody was to phone in and say, come and shut my water off, I'm going away for 6 months, we would come and shut their water off, and the utility bill would not show up until we turned the water back on, and we weren't even charging to do it. So they now were taking off the utility bill, and they were not paying anything towards the infrastructure, debentures, for the length of time that they were gone. And again, that's not a fair way, because we've divided debenture payments and the way we collect to every tax roll. Okay, I hope we explained everything the best we can. I'm sure we're going to get, sorry, Councillor Jagolic.
Thank you, Mayor McPhee. Just to the previous discussion and Councillor Rudick's point, while I am in favor of getting more information from council on what was discussed, I'd just like to comment that although I might disagree with looking at seniors housing, whether they are private or publicly funded, and being differentiated in that way, and whether or not we charge them individual utility bills. Simply because I feel that seniors don't live where they do based on if it's publicly funded or a private facility. Oftentimes, they live where they live for a myriad of reasons, level of care, what's available to them, and multiple other reasons. So I don't feel that going forward and looking at whether or not we should be charging the seniors that live in the private care for individual utility bills is the way to go. I think what is still in support of Councillor Riddick's point is looking at Vegreville has specifically low-income housing, and maybe that's what we need to look at acknowledging. If this is identified as low-income, you have to qualify as low-income by the government. Maybe those are the housing apartments or buildings that we have to look at, that those are the ones that we give a break to that just make more sense. Given that I think it can be anticipated that we're tacking on this over $600 a year charge. They qualify as low income, which means they're going to be getting government supports, they're going to be paying less for other things, given their proven financial situation. So maybe that would be a different avenue that I would be interested in exploring, instead of, as Councillor Riddick said, they are not equal across the board when we compare our seniors to our low income.
Okay, I really don't believe, I think there's only one subsidized housing in town that's left, is there not? And they get a utility bill, they each all have their own metered into the facility.
And just a point of clarification, I said it was, the work order fee was $25, it was at $35. Sorry, that was my,
Okay, so from 35 to 40, 25.
yes.
Okay. Okay, if there's no other comments, all those in favor of the motion for the first reading? Carried, thank you. I'll need a motion for the second reading. Councillor Wawa makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. I will need a motion for unanimous consent. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. And I'll need a third and final motion. Councillor Brojak makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. So, just before we move on from this, the education behind this needs to be extensive, and we need to do a good job of getting it out. And not just for the people that are going to be falling under this new bylaw. There's going to be a lot of people wondering why we have not held these other people, these other residents in these facilities accountable, and why have they not been carrying their, I mean, there's no defense of it other than that's just the way we've always done it. And we need to be prepared for that, because when I realized it, I was pretty upset personally about it myself, so. Okay. Next up, oh, we're back to the Tourism Advisory Board. Go ahead, Jameson.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. It's VTAB heavy this evening, so. The topic as it pertains to this request for council decision is the appointment of new member to the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board, and the proposal is to appoint Rick Peterson as a new member. It's being proposed by Michelle Gladys, our tourism coordinator, and the background is that the VTAB bylaw 022025 states that members must be appointed to the board by resolution of council. VTAB members have approved the application of Rick Peterson. The board recommends the town council appoint Rick for a 2-year term with the possibility of a 2-year extension. The communication strategy is that the appointment will follow a level 1 public engagement process. All appointees of the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board will be notified directly via correspondence. And the recommendation for this matter in front of you is that town council appoint Rick Peterson to the VTAB board for a 2-year term effective January 26, 2026, with the possibility of a 2-year extension.
Okay, thank you. Take a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Rawawa makes the motion. Any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Rawawa.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I mean, just to touch base on what was talked about at the ledge meeting. Rick was at a meeting earlier late in last year, and he brought some really great feedback. Was really intrigued and wanting to be part of this board, so definitely excited to have him, and would really hope that we can have him join, as per why we wanted to switch from 7 up to 9 members on the board.
Okay, no other comments? All in favor? Carried. And I'd just like to reach out to Mr. Peterson too, Rick, and thank you for putting your name forward, and there's nothing better than more good ideas. Maybe one more of those, Jameson.
One more idea or one more member?
One more member.
That's good, because I'm out of ideas. This request for council decision is in regards to a Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board member reappointment. And the proposal is that council reappoint Pam Cole to VTAP. The background on this matter is, as we just discussed, Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board Bylaw 022025 states that members must be appointed to the board by resolution of council. VTAB members have approved the extension of Pam Cole. According to Section 4.4C of the bylaw, members appointed by Section 4.3 may serve a maximum of 2 consecutive terms. Pam has currently completed 1 term. The board recommends that town council reappoint Pam for an additional 2-year term. Communication strategy is that the appointment will follow a level 1 public engagement process. All appointees to the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board will be notified directly via correspondence, and the recommendation as it pertains to this matter is that council reappoint Pam Cole to the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board for a 2-year extension effective January 26, 2026 as a member at large.
Okay, thank you very much. Take a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Any comments? Well, thank you, Pam, for putting your name forward again. Does that make a full board if this goes through? 8. So there's room for 1 more. What do you think? Councillor Brazier?
I would agree to welcome Pam again to the board and bring her expertise in tourism.
Perfect. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, looks like Jameson's done, and looks like Director Lefebvre's got a lot going on here, so maybe have a drink of water before you start. Go ahead, Director Lefebvre.
Thank you, Worship. We'll start with MOS 2002 cash in lieu policy. This is just a renewal. Every 3 years, infrastructure planning development reviews policies to ensure they remain relevant, effective, and aligned with current needs. MOS 2002 has been reviewed by Infrastructure Planning and Development, and there have been no formal changes made. Our form of public engagement will be to inform level 1. Recommendation is being made that Town Council approve MOS 2002 cash in lieu policy.
Okay. So I'll need a motion to approve the cash in lieu policy. Nope. Councillor Curtis. Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Brodziak.
Can we get some more information for our public to outline what the cash in lieu policy is?
Yeah, for sure. The cash in lieu policy is accepted as a payment for the difference in parking that may be available on a development that is under their requirement. So if they need additional parking stalls to satisfy development, they can, let's say they need 6 stalls and they can only come up with 4 on site, then they would be eligible to pay a cash in lieu policy, provide funding to the town based on a provincial formula, and that money would go into either a reserve for future construction of a parking lot or maintenance and upkeep of an existing one. For example, the parking lot we have just on the west side of the post office.
Okay, thank you for the explanation.
Okay. All those in favor? Carried. So Next up is the designated highway signage area policy.
That's correct. The topic is a designated highway signage area policy. Background, every 3 years, infrastructure planning and development reviews policies to ensure they remain relevant, effective, and aligned with current needs. MOS 2006 has been reviewed by infrastructure planning and development, and the following revisions have been made. We're going to remove what says the use shall be authorized by a license agreement with an annual business license fee of $50 per sign. In its place, we will add the use shall be authorized by an annual license agreement with an annual license fee as set out in the fees and charges bylaw. Public engagement process will be to inform. Recommendation is being made that Town Council approve revisions to MOS 2006 designated highway signage area policy.
Okay, I'll be looking for a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Jagalik makes the motion. Any discussion? These are the signs that are on the boulevards on Highway 16A at the very west side of town.
That is correct.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Jagalik.
Thank you. Director Lefebvre, can you just clarify, is there a bylaw that goes hand in hand with this policy?
The land use bylaw controls types of signage, size of signage, and location, and whether inspections are required after and before the install. So we have our land use bylaw that covers that portion of the signage.
Okay, I'm only asking just because we had a lot of conversation about the highway signage, so I wanted to know when and where some of those ideas could be applied. So I understand that would be through the bylaw. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And let's move on to the Service Road Boulevard licensing policy.
Okay, the topic is MOS 2007, the Service Road Boulevard Licensing Policy. Every 3 years, infrastructure planning and development reviews policies to ensure they remain relevant, effective, and aligned with current needs. MOS 2007 has been reviewed by IP&D, and the following revisions have been made. To remove 2.0 principles, the use shall be authorized by license agreement with an annual license fee of $10, and then to add, the use shall be authorized by an annual license agreement with an annual license fee as set out in the fees and charges bylaw. To remove also from 2.0 under principles, where the adjacent business does not enter into an agreement with the town may offer the opportunity to another resident business with a valid Town of Vegreville business license for an annual fee of $50, and instead replace it with where the adjacent business does not enter into an agreement, the town may offer the opportunity to another resident business with a valid Town of Vegreville business license for an annual fee as set out in the fees and charges bylaw. The same public engagement process will be to inform a level 1, and recommendation is being made the Town Council approve revisions to MOS 2007 Service Road Boulevard Licensing Policy.
Okay, I'll need a motion for the recommendation. Councilor Brojak makes the motion. And just so everybody knows, this is the boulevard that would be on the north side of Highway 16 from Madigan's up to AA trailers.
And also Highway 857 South.
Exactly, sorry. Good thing you remembered that, yes. So these are two locations that we offer the boulevard to the resident business that is there. And the changes are that if they don't want to take advantage of the use of the boulevard, that we could then go to another business in our community, has a valid business license, and see if they wanted it, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Fleet asset disposal policy.
Yes, thank you very much. This is, the proposal is to approve FIN 6012 Fleet Asset Disposal Policy. At the January 20th, 2026 Legislative Committee meeting, Council reviewed the draft Fleet Asset Disposal Policy. Council directed administration to bring the policy to the next regular council meeting for decision. The communication strategy is to inform level 1. Recommendation is being made that Town Council approve FIN 6012 Fleet Asset Disposal Policy.
Okay, take a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Rudick makes the motion. Any discussion? Go ahead, Director Lefebvre.
We did some good discussion on this at the last legislative committee meeting, and I went back and discussed with senior management and with our fleet manager, and we're going to leave the policy as presented at the ledge meeting prior, and the conversation was that the $10,000 trigger for disposal value asset would then ship it to an auction, and there's ways and means to determine which auction that is. What we've done then is we've also created a procedure now that obviously follows the policy, and in that procedure, which is approved by administration now, we've have in the procedure that the $10,000 triggers the asset to go to auction. If the value, the disposal asset value is $20,000 or less, it will go to an auction with no reserve bid. And if it's over $20,000 for the disposal value, including commissions, trucking, whatever it takes to get it there is added on. If that's over $20,000, then there is going to be a reserve bid based on the disposal asset plus expenses. At times, if you're selling something that's just making the 10,000 mark and you're not getting good dollars for it or your reserve bid for it, then you're paying again to truck it, bring it back home to try and sell it again. And usually it's costing you money at that point. So we felt that 20,000 and less could go without a reserve bid. Anything over 20,000 is a reserve bid that includes expenses on top of the disposal asset value.
Okay, well, 4.4 is, states surplus fleet assets may be disposed of through public sale, formal auction, trade-in, private sale, or donation, depending on the disposal value. Preference will be given to the least costly method of sale, including consideration of staff time. Only items with a disposal value of 10,000 or more will be sold at auction. So if we have something that we probably determines around $8,000, and if we put it out for local tender and we get 3 bids on it, when we would probably do a lot better at an auction with no reserve bid, because we're not going to get it back and bring it back.
Correct.
But this is, the problem I see is that one, is having this ceiling on it, and then it just stays locally, and we get 3 bids. And it's just not, we don't have the access to what a large auction facility has. So, I mean, I don't really think we need to have the reserve bid on anything, to tell you the truth. If you're taking it to an auction, it's gonna go. So, myself personally, I feel that, if it was something that was $2,000, or we figure we get $1,000 for it, yeah, advertise it locally. But if it's anything like 5,000 and up, take it to a sale, and I just think we would do. And I don't think having that reserve bid is gonna do anybody any good, because we never wanna bring it back. But if there's that many eyes on it compared to the 3 local people that are gonna put a bid on it, I just feel that we would do better. But it's in here right now this way, so go ahead.
And I would like to add to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this might be something, again, that would be worth bringing back and evaluating. So I think I can hear what you're saying. I wasn't at the last ledge meeting to be able to participate in the discussion. This particular topic has been bandied about for long before I was on council. And I think the fact that we've got a little bit more clarity about what's included, how the process is going to be, some procedures for our staff to be able to follow, then at least it gives us some clear guidelines for the public to be able to understand. But I understand what you're saying too, is that the more people that have access, the more likely that you're going to have something go for a higher price.
Go ahead, Director Lefebvre.
I just want to explain something as well. There's 3 things we look at. There's fair value, and then there's net residual value, and then there's the disposal value. So when we get the net residual value, that's based on the town's tangible capital asset that's amortization, that's depreciation. So when you get that number, it is typically lower than a fair value. If you were selling box A and you went on Kijiji and looked and saw, oh, they sell for about this much, typically the net residual value is much less than that to clear the books off, right? So then we take the disposal value, which equals the net residual value plus expenses, and that's how we get that number. So I know what you're saying. If we think it's worth $40,000 for whatever we're selling, we put a reserve bid at $40,000. Well, you may not get it, but the value that the municipality would place on it based on those factors to clear the books and wash the asset is much less than a fair value, is what they define it as, if that helps.
And my whole goal here is just to try to get as many people looking at any asset that we're going to sell. I don't think taking a $1,000 vehicle that's beat and doesn't even run, it's just a parts vehicle, to an auction. But if we're gonna go to an auction, we take as much as we can. And the reserve bid is, we're gonna sell it anyway. I mean, if we put a reserve bid on it, even on our tender process, and then what? We don't get it, so we just leave it setting in the yard. I mean, we're selling these assets for a reason. We're getting rid of them, and the market will determine. And when you have 20,000 sets of eyes through the internet and live at an auction, you're gonna find out really what the real value of that is. But when you have local, and it's just 3 or 4 tenders that are submitted, and we don't see a lot. Like, we advertise in the paper and stuff, and then our stuff just goes. I don't know.
And the other thing to remember is what we're discussing now, the very details, that's in the procedure, which can change between myself and the CAO at any time. So what we've kept, that's why we've kept it out of the policy, so we can approve the policy tonight, because the only thing in the policy is a $10,000 trigger that says it's going to auction. And after that, the procedure, we can basically work on case by case. If you have something that's worth 80, 90,000, we may want to put a reserve on it. But you're right, the stuff that's less, that's going to auction at times, it's just because you have to get rid of the asset. So then a reserve bid is something we won't put. So we can change that in the procedure outside of approving this policy tonight.
Okay. So when will we see the changes?
Probably see them after discussion and probably the next legislative meeting to the procedure. It'd be just for information, because council obviously doesn't approve a procedure, but we'll keep you in the loop for sure.
Okay. So, I don't know how everybody else feels. I just feel that the more eyes on anything, and we don't have a lot of stuff that's gonna be, I mean, we had one piece of equipment a while ago that a lot of feedback was negative about it. But if it's worth $5,000 and up, let's take it to an auction, get as many eyes on it as we can. And no reserve bid, because the market's gonna find out where it is. There's nothing anybody's gonna do. Like, to drag something back just doesn't make any sense.
So then we amend the bylaw from 10 to 5, I'm sorry, the policy, and then they approve it? If that's what they like to do?
Well, I would like to make a friendly amendment to the motion on the recommendation that we change 4.4 to 5,000 and no reserve bids. Who made that motion on the recommendation?
Councillor Burdick made the motion,
Like to amend?
I'd like a friendly amendment if,
or we can just do the amendment as a motion and take a vote on 5,000. So we can make a motion to amend the policy to state that the threshold in 4.4 is 5,000. We can vote on that, and then if it's agreed, then you can, that makes the change to the
well,
policy.
we gotta put in the reserve bid too.
Okay.
We gotta take out the reserve bid at an auction. Especially if we're taking some piece of equipment to an auction, trucking it there. We don't wanna truck it back.
Okay, for 4.4, Surplus fleet assets may be disposed through public sale, formal auction, trade-in, private sale, or donation, depending on disposal value. Preference will be given to the least costly method of sale, including consideration of staff time. Only items with a disposal value of, currently states 10, so so an amendment would say 5,000 or more will be sold at auction. And then if we go to,
The auction part.
then it would be under the public sale. Hold on here. No, I think that might be in the procedure itself. Oh,
It says reserve bid in 4.42 under auction.
okay, in 4
Last-
point.
Yeah, the last sentence of the first paragraph.
Okay, so and then in 4.42, under auction, a bona fide auctioneer will be selected through an annual formal competitive RFP process. The disposal value plus the auctioneer's commission and marketing fees will be used to determine the reserve bid for all surplus fleet assets proposed to be disposed of this wow, English is hard, method. So we could remove the second sentence.
Yep.
Okay, how about we do this? Let's bring it back. Everybody okay with that, or you guys just want to vote on the two different amendments? Can we do that?
We can make it one amendment to change 4.4 to remove, to change 10,000 to 5,000,
And 4.42,
and remove the second sentence in 4.4.2, the disposal value of the auctioneer's commission, marketing fees, and everything will determine the reserve bid. So we'll remove that sentence.
okay, so we'll need a motion.
So you need a motion for the amendment.
Thank you, Councilor Wawa. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion for the amendment? Carried. Now let's go back to Councilor Rudick's original motion, which has been, the policy has been amended. Are you still good with making the motion for the amended policy?
Sure.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you all. Sleep better tonight. Where are we at here? I think you're done, Director Lefebvre. CAO Ling.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this request for council decision is the Water and Wastewater Systems Agreement cancellation. And the proposal is to waive the 60-day cancellation clause for the Village of Innisfree. So the background on this is the Village of Innisfree has provided formal notice of cancellation for the Water and Wastewater Systems Agreement. The Village of Innisfree has requested that the town waive the 60-day cancellation clause and accept the effective end date as of January 31st, 2026. Town Council discussed this matter at the January 20th Legislative Committee meeting. Consensus of council was in favor to waive the 60-day cancellation clause. Financial implications: the termination of this contract will result in the loss of revenue of approximately $7 per month, or $700 per month. Communication strategy is public engagement process level 1. The Village of Innisfree interim CAO Alicia Fowler will be notified of council's decision directly. So the recommendation before you is that town council waive the 60-day cancellation clause for the Water and Wastewater Systems Agreement between the town of Vegreville and the Village of Innisfree, and further that the town council accept effective termination date of January 31st, 2026.
Yeah, take a motion for the recommendation. Councilor Curtis. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councilor Brajak.
I just want to make a comment that we do have revenue of $700 that we would be losing, but we would also not have the expenses to send the employees out there. So it's definitely not a $700 loss per month. It's probably much lower than that.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Perfect. You're all gonna be shocked, but we're gonna start the council reports, and I'm gonna do it alphabetically. Everybody will know when it's their turn. Councilor Brajak,
Thank you, Your Worship. On January 14th, I attended a CALS board meeting. That was the first CALS meeting that I did attend. To report, they will be having their AGM on February 18th, and the general public is welcome to attend. And they'll be advertising as to the location also. 2026 marks the 30th year of operation for CALS, and so they will be probably having a celebration in 2027 when the actual anniversary happens. I'm not sure of the date that CALS was first started, but 2026, it would have been 1996 or 1997. Also, to report for CALS, they mentioned that the community of Vegreville and surrounding area is very generous with donations made to the Breakfast Club. So they're very, very grateful for the very generous donations. The Breakfast Club did take a break also while the strike was on, the teachers' strike. So a few employees were also out of a job during that time period. And yeah, we just discussed that they were also looking to design and update their website. So they'll be looking for available grants and some quotes to get the website up. On January 20th, I attended the legislative committee meeting and tonight's council meeting. That's my report. Thank you.
Okay. So the Breakfast Club is up and running again, though? Now.
Yes, they are up and running again.
Okay, good. Next up, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. I'm going to back up a little bit. You had requested I reach out to the Vermilion River Watershed Alliance about their student council. So I did that. They told me that they do reach out to the schools right now, but they said they would include me in the correspondence when it starts at the end of summer for the next year's council. And I have a meeting on Friday in Vermilion, my first actual in-person meeting, and they have some extra watershed student kits that they had left over, and I'm going to bring some back and bring them to the schools. So just wanted to close the loop on that. For me, January 15th, we went to the Composite High School for the holiday lunch, which is a little bit late, but there was good reason for it to be late, so we got to serve lunch to the students. I usually play it safe and take the cookies, but I also know they're very sneaky, and they do try to take more than one cookie, so I'm very, the police on that side of things. Sometimes I like to mess with them a bit too, and I'll say, would you like 2 cookies? And they say, yeah, and I say, I bet you would, but you can only have 1. Things like that, so that was fun. And then we had our legislative meeting on the 20th, and then tonight's council meeting.
Hey, thank you very much. Councillor Jagolic.
Thank you. Dating back to January 16th, I attended a Northern Lights Library Board orientation meeting that was just held virtually. January 19th, I had a brief meeting with FCSS manager Julie Gottslig, which was just to discuss the FRN's current location, which is at the Galleria Mall, and the extension of their lease. January 20th, we had the legislative committee meeting. January 21st, we had our monthly library board meeting. So a few key points from that meeting, which was also their AGM. So the library board now consists of some returning executive members as well as some members who have taken on new roles. So congratulations to them. We have what seems to be a really engaged board so far, so it's really nice to see everyone working together, even though it's been a short time. I have high hopes for what we're going to accomplish together. The library board, I came to find out also, consists of 3 subcommittees, so those regard finance. Councillor Rudick's laughing at me. Finance, events and fundraisers, and policies and personnel. So each member of the library board participates in 2 of those 3. I believe all 3 of them are meeting shortly, so we will start planning events and reviewing policies, and as well as getting a start on how we approach budget season so that we are well prepared. The library board has got a great start on revising the letter of understanding to include more detail than it previously did, which concerns the relationship between the board and the town. So that document just serves to help govern that relationship. Lastly, following many mentions of the possibility of a Friends of the Library group of volunteers, I am thrilled to confirm that that does officially exist. So some dedicated community members have taken steps forward to get these wheels back in motion. And they've spearheaded the group, which will serve as a means to raise funds for the library. So that individual is Candace Smiley. So thank you to her and everyone who has expressed an interest in joining her. I just want to say that as a previous member of foundations that raise funds, that anyone who has any questions on how that might look, just to reach out, because I promise you that these types of groups, they work with whatever time you can give them. And like I've said before, it rarely feels like work or an obligation when it's something that you're passionate about. So if anyone wants more information on how to connect with her, you can find her at Friends of the Library on Facebook. But if you're not online, you can also reach out to myself and probably any member of council, and we'd be happy to get you in touch with Candace. Lastly, earlier this evening, which is January 26th, FCSS held their holiday party, also a little bit late, but it was still festive and fun and enjoyable. This was held at the bowling alley, which I just like to give a shout out to them. Kevin and Corinne, they are so hospitable there. They always make sure that everyone has a good time. So the evening was enjoyed by all. We got to bowl and just get to know one another. So that was great. The fun was still going strong when I left. So that was for sure a good time had. Thank you to everyone at FCSS who helped organize that. And then here we are at tonight's council meeting. Lastly, I do just want to mention some things going on in town this weekend. I believe both high schools are hosting basketball tournaments, the boys at St. Mary's and the girls at the Composite. So if anyone's looking for anything to do this weekend, I'm sure they would love some community support. I just want to wish them all luck, bring home the gold, and temperatures seem to be leveling out. No crazy snowfalls, no crazy thaw, melt, freeze. So yeah, that's all for me. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. You all may have noticed, Councillor Lemko is not present tonight. I'm sure that he is visiting Minnie and Mickey Mouse or with his grandchildren, I think. He's probably, we can confirm that he's not fishing this trip. But I'll just go through what Councillor Lemko's been up to. January the 13th, he was at the Minburn Foundation. He is actually the chair of that board, and they had their meeting with the Human Resources Committee. He also had a foundation building committee meeting that day as well. On the 14th, he traveled with the Vegreville Stands with Ukraine committee to the city and helped two families that were looking at some stuff at a donation center there. He too, on the 15th, served Christmas lunch at the Veg Comp. He probably had a roll away from the cookies. He usually does vegetables, I think. On the 15th as well, he had an MD at Minburn Homestead Lodge staff meeting. And then on the 20th, he was here at the Ledge meeting. The 21st, the MD of Minburn Foundation Human Resource Committee meeting. 21st, Transportation Ad Hoc Committee. Councillor Robert, you were there too? Oh, so we don't have an update. Okay. On the 21st, he is on the board of the Cultural Association. He had a meeting there as well. I would imagine they'd be planning of the festival for this summer. And then on the 21st, he again had an MD of Minburn Foundation Building Committee meeting. So that's what Councillor Lemko's been up to. Next, we're going to hear from Councillor Rudick.
Thank you, Worship. I have many of the same meetings as Councillor Lemko because I chair the MD Minburn Human Resources Subcommittee. So I've got meetings on the 13th, the 21st, the 26th of January to have those meetings. January 15th, I was very pleased to be at the Composite High School for the holiday lunch. I was in charge of vegetables. I was the one that nobody wanted.
Okay.
But a great opportunity to be able to be with some community members, see some of the new staff, and interact with the students. Again, I always love any opportunity for us to be able to engage with the public. So if there's any other organizations that are looking for participation from council, please extend the invite. We love to be able to be out in the community, not just at Christmas time or holiday times. Always fun. January 15th was MD Minburn staff meeting with the chair, Councillor Lemko, and myself as HR. January 21st, was library board meeting, and Councillor Jagalik has captured more extensively than I would, so thank you for having a thorough report for the library. The only thing that I would just mention again is we've got a full complement, almost a full complement of board members on the library board, which includes some folks that are from the county, which is great to be able to have their input as well. And having somebody officially be in charge of the Friends of the Library is great. And they have paid close attention to the number of people that are interested in preserving, supporting, and uplifting the efforts of the library. So they're going to be using those names. So again, anybody that is looking to provide their volunteer hours to that effort, that would be very much appreciated. And VTSS board meeting on January 22nd, and discussing a variety of different things, including receiving a grant from the county, which is fantastic support. Some updates from some of the fundraising that happened before Christmas with the turkey bingo, concession at various community events, including upcoming at the Family Day event, etc. But we also got the notice that our longtime office administrator coordinator is retiring. So we wanted to thank Elaine Kuchar, who has worked for us for a very long time, 17 years, I believe. So she's been in that position for a long time, and a lot of changes have happened over that 17 years. So we have 2 more weeks of her capable organization, which is very helpful because that'll get us through the necessary reporting and GST filing and all that fun stuff that is always the best part of being a part of any organization. But I just wanted to make sure again that Elaine feels the appreciation of the community to be able to meet the mandate of Vegreville Transportation Services Society, which is to provide seniors transportation as well as transportation and vouchers for low-income residents in the community. So thank you very much to Elaine for all your very many years of dedication and assistance to that board and committee. And tonight's council meeting.
Hey, thank you, and I'd like to say thank you to Elaine too. I know she's put a lot of work in there over the years, and it's time for, do you have a replacement over there already, or what's gonna happen?
Well, I didn't say that we met just before this meeting, but yeah, we're trying to figure that out. So TBD. It's we will definitely have to have somebody in that role because it requires coordination in a way that is maybe a little different than other organizations. So we're working through that right now, and thankfully we've got a bit of grace time before we need to pull the trigger on that. So we're figuring that out.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Roy.
Thank you, Your Worship. On January 15th, just like Councillor Lemko, Curtis, and Rudick, I was at the composite lunch. It was actually me this time who did the vegetables. Councillor Lemko did the salad and buns. On January 15th, I also had my Vegreville Learning Society meeting. For the most part, it's just business as usual. The firearm course is going to be returning February 27th and 28th, as well as March 1st. So that will be on the 27th and 28th are the normal PAL license, and on March 1st will be the handgun course. For anyone who might have interest in that, I will say I took part in that over the summer, and even if you're not a firearm enthusiast and just want to have a better understanding of firearm safety, it is a very great course to partake in and just get a little more knowledge of proper handling of firearms. Besides for that, we finished working on some of our policies at that meeting and just getting them all updated. Another thing that they mentioned was that they're working on getting some grant funding, as well as they talked about community collaboration, which since November 20th, they've had 21 hours of community collaboration. So I think that's great to see the board or the Vegreville Learning Societies collaborating with other groups in Vegreville and working together. On January 20th, I had my we had the ledge meeting, and then January 21st, I had my Vegman board orientation. It was very good to, just get full on understanding, be able to sit down and really understand what the board is about and what all they touch base on. Because I was at that meeting, I did miss the ad hoc meeting as it was at the same time. I apologize. I did get sent an update as to what happened in that meeting earlier today. Just had not had a chance to look through it before tonight's meeting. As Councillor Jagalik was also at earlier today with me was the FCSS Christmas holiday party, and now we're here at this council meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. How many members do we have on that VEG Transportation Ad Hoc Committee? Like, we have Councillor Lemko and Councillor Wawa. Is there any staff member that from here? Of course. So that was the first meeting we've had in a long time?
We actually met in November as well. We had our first meeting with our new council members. We reviewed the terms of reference and were able to kind of get started there. We've also recently hired a consultant with grant funding, and we have just done our kickoff meeting for our transportation needs assessment. So we're starting to get underway with that.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so on the 15th, I had a meeting with Alberta Innovates, the new CAO of Alberta Innovates, and we brought some members of our admin staff down, and we wanted to understand where we're at with Alberta Innotech in the facility here, and it was not good news, that's for sure. They laid off 10 people. I think they're down to 47 employees out there. There is no researchers left in the plant science division at this facility. They're dealing with cutbacks from the provincial government, and they had to look at the way they run programs, and they're still open for business here. As a matter of fact, between the Alberta Hub and Crossroads and Jameson's department, we are going to be using this facility as, we're going to be advertising it as a benefit to this whole area. To have this facility setting there and the infrastructure that is in there and the support that can be used and hired, there's nothing they can do. Alberta Innovates themselves. I mean, their grant funding is disappearing, but they're still willing to work with us, with industry, and with any newcomers to the area. They're very knowledgeable on how we can find different levels of grant funding through different partners and different provincial and federal partners to help support the research that we may be able to offer to some of these local industries or new industries come into town. All in all, it was a good meeting. They were very upfront and honest about why they had to do what they did, and so there's a lot of building out there, and we need to help them a bit, try to find some projects that'll fit in up there right now. So again, it was very informative and a very honest meeting. So, and I want to thank the minister and her MLA for helping set this all up. So on the 20th, I was at the Ledge meeting. On the 21st, I drove to Edmonton with John S. Batouk Water Commission. So I met with our legal and the chair of the Northeast Water Commission and their legal. And we sat down and had our first discussion about trying to bring back the relationship that the two water commissions have had for 30 years. And we've taken the first steps, and we've identified some areas that need to be worked on. And the next step will be the filing of their 2024 reconciliation under the rules that have been posed upon them by the commission's results, utilities commissions. So those are very much exactly what our water supply agreements always has said. So we'll know more after the 30th about what the next step in our negotiations look like. Our water supply agreement ran out on December the 8th. But the judgment from the Alberta Utilities Corporation, Commission, said that the new number was was 13 cents less, and that's what we're working on from December 8th until we negotiate a new water supply agreement. So, and again, the new chair and myself, we identified some areas that we disagree on, and I told them the sooner we can get the lawyers out of the room, the better off we're gonna be, because it's not cheap. And it's cost each side over $300,000 right now. And we need to be able to figure this out. The AUC has given the ruling, we just need to work a new agreement based on what the ruling is, so. On January the 22nd, we had our first Northern Alberta Alliance of Growth and Opportunity, NAGO, meeting here, the first one of this new term. Basically, it's the mayors and rees of northeastern Alberta. We had a fairly good turnout. There was it was just hard to pick a date, but it was nice to get that committee back together and working for the Northeast. We got some work to do, and we'll be inviting our MLAs and ministers and stuff to our next meeting, and looking forward to what we can get achieved there. I also attended on Saturday, I went to Métis Crossing and attended the screening of a new, I guess it's a documentary from the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, and it was very good. It was well attended. It was very informative, and there was lots of good conversation. And of course, there was also the First Nations approach to waterways, and I really enjoyed it, and the meal was great. The documentary was very well done, and it was done in segments, so when they take it to schools, they can just use certain portions, stage 1, stage 2, and there was members of the board that were there I got to meet, and they were all very complimentary of former Councillor David Barry and all the input that he's had into the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance. And really, there was a lot of good conversations, doctors, lawyers, First Nation home builders. There was some activists there too, and there was a lot of maybe some conversations about the coal mining on the eastern slopes at the headwaters of not just the North Saskatchewan, but the Old Man River and stuff too. And it was a very well, I enjoyed it. Let's put it that way. And the conversations were all over the place, and there wasn't a lot of elected officials there, but there was a lot of people that understand how important that whole river system is, and not just to us. And as it goes by us, that we need to treat it just, because the next people down, the next community needs it as well, so. And then tonight's council meeting, so I want to thank you all for what you guys do every day out there in the community, and keep up the good work. So, it looks like we made it to the bottom. Is there any other business of council? With that being said, I adjourn this meeting at 8:24.